Alright, welcome to part 2 of this Google Sites tutorial. We're going to talk about making it pretty. So I have my Google site here pulled up. I'm going to go ahead and click on it. This is the portfolio I created in session 1, and this is just the basic setup. This is what we have so far. So I'm going to show you how to kind of customize this to make it a little prettier, I guess you would say. So kind of the first thing is I like to create a header. So something other than the word Tanya's portfolio up here at the top, because to me that's just a little bit boring. Now I find it to be fun, and the kids do too, to utilize the Bitmoji app, and they can set this up on their phones, but it's also a Google Chrome extension, so you can get it through iTunes or Google Play, or you can install it for Google Chrome. But you can go in and set up yourself, and then if you install the extension, you get this little icon here, which is kind of fun, and then you can search for different ones. So for instance, yay, you've got all these different options here with that like expression, or you can click on some of these other ones and see all these different things that are in here. So kind of fun. They add a bunch of things in here too, so when you scroll your mouse through, like whatever, I don't know why, there's like some things from movies, and there are some really weird things in here, but you can drag these into like a Google drawing. So we're going to, just to kind of stay with Google, I'm going to create a Google drawing, and again, that's one of those that you're going to be logged into your Google and choose. It may not show up on your list, so I'm going to go to more and even more because it's still not on the list, and it'll be here in this section with all the home and office things. So I'll click on that. It's considered a Google Doc essentially. So I have an untitled drawing. I'm just going to call this heading, and you can't like very easily, I guess, choose your size, or you probably can. I just don't typically use it. Page setup is set up kind of weird. So I basically just drag here on the corner. You can resize that way. See? So I've resized it so it's kind of the shape of a banner. And then you can start putting stuff in. So I like to just draw like a shape, a solid colored shape is usually pretty good for the background and whatnot. So I'm going to kind of draw, let's see if I can get it to snap in there. I'm going to draw something here like this, and then I'm just going to fill it in with black. So I'm actually going to use this as the kind of background, like to have a border. And then I'm going to draw another box. And inside that box, you see what I'm saying? And because I'm going to use a Bitmoji on it, I'm going to make this background white, because Bitmojis automatically have a white background. So that way I can put my Bitmoji in there and it doesn't look weird because it's not transparent. Okay, then I can come over here, and there's just different, like I said, different ones in here. So I'll just drag this one in here. This is a little heart one. So you just drag it in like that and hold shift and pull from the corner, and then I'll position her on here. And you can if you press your up arrow in Google Drawing, it goes like really far. So if you hold shift and push up or down arrows, it's a little bit not so jumpy. Alright, so there's that. And of course you could put in more than one. So like I could type in smile, and then there's some different ones. I'll bring in this beautiful Winky girl. So I'll pull her in there and size it down a little bit. Put it over here. And maybe rotate it a smidge. Again, if you rotate it, be careful you pull it down. You don't want the background to be showing there. And then, let's see. Let's scoot this girl over. And maybe I'll throw one more little face in there. Again, I'll put smile. Grab her. And there we go. We'll just rotate this one this way. Okay. And then I could put, my name and portfolio or whatever on here. So I'll click on text box. I'll draw me a text box. And I'll put Tanya's awesome portfolio. And then, of course, you can change your font and your size and all that jazz. And there's some that'll be on here. There's always more, so you can choose more fonts if you don't like the one that they have. You just go to more fonts, and then there's like all kinds of different fonts in here. You can even choose kind of categories of fonts. So I'll pick lobster and hit OK. There it is. And, oops, that might be a little bit too big. All right, there we go. And of course you can change the colors, and you could change the size too if you don't like exactly what that is. If you want just like a little bit bigger, you can type in the number and hit enter and try to size your box out or whatever and see if you can get it to fit in there. Alright, so here's my heading banner. Now, one thing I have learned is that you have to actually upload an image to use it as a heading banner. So even though this is saved in my Google Drive, because it is automatically, I am going to have to download this. So file, download, and download it. I usually use PNG images. JPEGs work too, but I usually use PNG. So I'm going to download it. It's going to put it in my downloads folder because I'm in Chrome. And if you're on like a Chromebook, it'll put you in your downloads folder there as well, and you can insert it. All right, so I've got that saved. I'm going to go back here to my portfolio, and I'm going to edit my header. So to do that, you've got to go into editing the site layout. Now, when you're doing things that are for the whole site, you use this little gear button. Kind of some important places in here. Manage site, edit site. Those are two big deal places. And then page settings. These are kind of the three big ones in here. So this is part of the layout. So I'm going to edit my site layout. And this is the header. So I'm just going to click on it. And then it says configure the site header. And I want to use my own logo. So I'm going to choose the file. And I just downloaded it. So let's see. It'll be in my downloads folder. Which, by the way, probably takes forever to download, so I probably should have thought about that. There we go. Heading. And there it goes. And so I'm going to pick my custom logo from the list. And you can also set it if you want it to be like horizontal or vertically centered or whatever. You can do that. I'm going to hit OK. It's going to put it in there and load it. Now notice that this is still in here, this Tanya's portfolio thing. So you're probably going to want that to go away. And that's in a different spot. So I'll show you how to get that in there in just a minute. Now you can use any online tool to create this heading thing. It can be absolutely any tool you want as long as you save and upload it. You can do it in Google Slides, you can use it in BeFunky or Canva or any of those other free online tools. All right. Now let's go into, we'll hit close here to save that. We'll go back into the gear and we're going to go to manage the site, which is right underneath site layout. And we want to get rid of those words. So right now there's that Tanya's portfolio. I'm going to tell it not to show the site name at the top of the page because since we have a heading image, we really don't need that. And you can see there's other things in here too. A lot of this is fancy stuff. You can set it so your site automatically adjusts to mobile phones. That's not a bad idea. So there we go. I'm going to hit save here and it'll save it. And then I'm going to go back out. My changes have been saved. I'm going to go back out to the portfolio so I can see it. There we go. So that looks better. And then you start adding your pages. So, of course, if you're a teacher and you're using this as portfolios in your classroom, you need to think ahead as to what sections the students need. Now, there are different types of pages in Google Sites, and I like to have my kids create a page that's kind of like a blog, you might say. And so that's just, it's cool because they can actually do blog posts and it's really easy. So to create a new page, you can go to create page. You can do it from another place too in here where you manage your site. But I'm going to go ahead and just click on the new page button. So you click create page and then you can name your page. And so I'm going to call this class posts because if you're going to have kids post bell ringers or reflections or something like that, that'd be a good page for that. I'm going to hit create. And now it's going to give me that page, and it will take me to that page too. Now, one thing I didn't do here is I didn't change my page type. So it automatically creates it as what it calls a web page type. That's not what I want for this page. So I'm going to save this, but then I'm going to go in and change the template that this uses. So instead of it using a web page template, I'm going to change it to a different template. So I'm going to come to change page template, and then instead of web page, I'm going to choose what's called an announcements page. I wish they would call this a blog page because that's really what it is. So once I've changed that, now to notice there is an RSS feed button so people can subscribe to this page. And then I can post posts right here. And it'll put the date on them, it'll archive it, it does all that for you. So it's really cool. So now I've got that. Now you can change the way this main page just looks. So if I wanted this to be a certain, have some certain words on it. Here are my reflections, let's say weekly reflections from this class. Let's pretend that we had a class here. Now also notice here under layout, we can choose for this box what this layout's going to be. So I could set up like a 2-column layout, a 2-column simple layout. There's all kinds of different stuff here. So I'm going to choose 2-column, and now notice that I have a box over here. Now, if you're feeling really fun and excited, like I always am, you can go back over to your little Bitmoji app and find you a cool little something to put there. Now, I will say be careful because there are, occasionally words in here and somebody with a glass of wine or whatever. So, be careful with your kids as far as whether or not they need to see those things or not. And just, be aware. I'm going to go ahead and pull this one in here. She's killing it. So, woohoo. So there you go. I just drug it straight in, which is why I really like the Bitmoji thing. Now, when you pull in images, you can change the size. It puts it in automatically at the original size on this one. There's 100%, there's large, and there's medium, and then you got small. So you can kind of just use those buttons. You can choose whether to center it or left or whatever. Text wrapping and so forth. I don't intend to put anything over here on this side, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, so there's that, and there it says class posts, we're ready. I'm going to go ahead and hit save, and that takes care of this page. Now I'll add a post later on, but for now I'm going to go ahead and add another page, and let's say this is going to be a gallery for us. So I'm going to create a page, and I'll call this project gallery. And again, for now we'll just leave it alone. It can be a web page. There are different pages. There's one called a filing cabinet, which is basically just a depository for files. It'll be a list of files, but we're going to do some other cool stuff for that later on. Now I'm going to show you how we'll set up this page later, so for now, this will do it. Let's say these are all the pages that I need and that I want to modify this navigation. If you want your navigation over here, cool. If you don't, you can change that site layout. So I'm going to come back out here to edit site layout. Notice this is the sidebar. I can turn it off and turn it on. Of course, if you don't have a sidebar, you have no way to really get anywhere, so that can be a problem. But I'll turn the sidebar back on, and then you can edit the sidebar. There is a little pencil next to it. So you can decide which side it's going to be on. So say I want to move it to the right, I can move it over there if I wanted to. And right now, the sidebar includes navigation. So notice that that's what it's doing. It's just a link to the sitemap. It tells you that that's what it's going to be, my navigation. You can delete that and add other things here, and I will show you some cool stuff later on that you can do with that. You can also modify your sidebar in other ways too. So for instance, instead of having a sidebar, I could choose to have horizontal navigation. Now I've got them both pushed, so I'm going to have both here in just a second when it loads. So here now I have this navigation, horizontal navigation. I'm going to turn my sidebar off. Now this is fine. I have this little button here, but notice that not all my pages are on it. So if I click on here, I can choose which pages to show and how to show them, boxes, tabs, or links. I like tabs because people are kind of used to that. And then you can add your pages. So say I want to have my class post page in there, and I want to have my project gallery page in there, then I can. So you can have pages that you don't have published yet, and they won't show up yet until you choose to put them there. I'll hit OK, and then I should have my little tabs. It shows you which page I'm on. So I'm going to go ahead and click close. And so here we go. We've got the page, we've got a home page, we've got our class post page with a little picture on there, and we've got our project gallery, which we're going to add some cool stuff to in just a minute. All right, and as far as these pages go, if there are additional things that you want to do to the page, most all of those things are going to be done by hitting the pencil button and then using your buttons up here. So notice that you could change your font that way, you can change your font sizes, your font color, your background color on something. You can add hyperlinks, which we'll get into later on, bulleted lists, and all of that. And then, of course, you can also change that layout, like I said before, and change things to have headings as well. But that's pretty much that. Now we'll get into how to insert all of this fun stuff here in just a bit.